Ladies and gentlemen, let me share something today that might just awaken your spirit. There's a reason why some women don't break. They've walked through fire. They've faced betrayal, heartbreak, and disrespect. Yet they carry themselves like nothing ever touched them. Not because they've turned cold. Not because they've gone numb. But because they are protected. There's a power surrounding her, guiding her, making a way even when the path looks invisible. And when you begin to notice the signs, you'll realize why she always rises again. Why no weapon formed against her truly prospers. So if you are that woman or becoming her, don't scroll away. Every moment of this message is a reflection, reminding you of the strength you hold within. On the surface, it might seem like she's alone, like she's missing out. People may question how a woman like her moves through the world without constantly needing someone beside her. No big group. No loud arrival. Just her, walking calmly and quietly, with deep meaning in each step. What they fail to realize is that she's never really alone. She's not empty inside. She's not out there chasing claps or begging for eyes on her. She's carrying something deep, something sacred that many don't recognize because they're too distracted chasing noise. She's gone through enough to stop depending on temporary people. She's watched people enter and leave her life like it was nothing. She's been let down by those she held close. Left behind when she needed someone most. But none of that broke her. It didn't turn her heart to stone. It made her smarter. It taught her that some people appear in your life only to help you learn how to stand alone. And once you learn how to stand firm on your own, you realize you were never without support. You were being guarded, set apart, preserved for something more. When a woman learns how to walk by herself, it means she's learned how to hear her own voice again. Not the voice of shame. Not the lies of fear. Not the whispers of manipulation. Her true voice. The one that speaks honesty, even when the world tries to drown it out. The one that tells her when it's time to leave, when to walk away, when to be cautious, and when to stay still. That voice isn't loud. It's sacred. It only speaks when peace is present. That's why she walks solo, so she can hear it clearly. She understands that not every person is a gift. Not every group is safe. Not every friend is sincere. She's learned how to sense energy, how to feel when something doesn't sit right in her soul, how to see the warning signs even when they come with a smile. And once you've spent too much time around the wrong people, being alone becomes peace. It's not being lonely, it's being free. It's the kind of freedom that helps you enjoy your own company. That's what makes her untouchable. Evil doesn't always wave red flags. Sometimes, it blends in. It charms. It pretends. And those who are always distracted, always needing someone nearby, usually miss those clues. But not her. She's grown used to walking alone. Her spirit has become sharp. She doesn't need loud warnings. She senses when something's off. Her intuition speaks louder than any words. Her silence keeps her focused. People often wonder, why is she okay being alone? What they don't get is that solitude taught her the difference between being needed and being used. It taught her to stop giving to hands that only take. It showed her that real love doesn't involve begging someone to stay. It's about respecting yourself enough to let them go. She's no longer afraid to release people. She welcomes it. Because she understands that peace is too valuable to trade for stress. What protects her isn't just the physical. It's spiritual. It's that unseen hand pulling her away from danger. It's the quiet voice that says no even when the world screams yes. That protection doesn't come with loud alarms or flashing lights, but it shows up when it matters. In the text she didn't reply to, in the person she didn't meet, in the offer she turned down that later turned into a mess. That's not luck. That's divine covering. And that covering grows stronger in silence. When you're surrounded by too many voices, they cloud your judgment. Their noise covers your clarity. But when you walk alone, your vision sharpens. You hear better. You move with strength, not pressure. And that kind of power, evil can't touch it. Some may misjudge her, say she's distant, say she's cold. But they don't see the truth. Her silence isn't a wall. It's her sanctuary. It's where she finds her power again, where she listens to her truth, where she rebuilds her strength. And most importantly, it's where she becomes unshakable. She's not lost. She's not wandering. She's not walking without purpose. She's being led. Every step she takes has meaning. Every path she chooses holds reason. Every quiet moment alone reminds her that no matter the darkness around her, she isn't weak. She isn't easily fooled. She's protected. And being protected doesn't always show up with armor or weapons. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like stillness. Sometimes it looks like a woman walking by herself, but carrying the strength of an army inside her. So the next time you see her walking confidently, no one beside her, don't feel sorry for her. Don't think she's missing anything. Know that she's walking in strength. She's in alignment. She's in a season where distance is safety. And she's stronger than she's ever been. She doesn't owe you her story. She doesn't need to wait for someone to reveal their real intentions. Her spirit already knows. When someone walks into her world, she feels it. A shift in energy, a quiet discomfort, a strange unease. It's not paranoia. It's awareness. She doesn't have to guess. She senses it. When she enters a room, she doesn't just see with her eyes. She sees with her soul. While others fall for charm, fake kindness, and polished words, she sees right through it. She's not swayed by appearances. She's not impressed by performance. She's danced with heartache. She's faced lies. She's endured betrayal. And after going through that fire, her spirit didn't just survive, it changed. Now, her awareness is her shield. Her silence is her defense. She listens not just to words but to their tone, their timing, the feeling behind them. That weird feeling when someone smiles but something feels wrong. She listens to that. That's how she stays safe. Not by yelling. Not by accusing. But by sensing. She doesn't argue to prove she's right. She already knows deep down. Sometimes she can't even explain it. But when someone looks perfect on paper and still something feels off, she trusts that feeling. She doesn't wait for trouble. She doesn't chase closure. She creates space. Because she knows not everything that looks good is good for her. Not every open door is meant for her to walk through. Not every admirer is genuine. That's why she remains protected. She doesn't ignore her inner voice. She leans into it. Because that voice has never failed her. It saved her from walking into pain again. It spoke when words didn't. It showed her truth when people lied. She doesn't need to tell everyone about her gift. She just moves differently. When something changes, she adjusts. No chasing. No drama. No guilt. Just wisdom. Just peace. She's not trying to prove anything. She's focused on guarding everything she worked so hard to build. Her calm, her path, her healing. Darkness isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it wears a friendly face. Sometimes it pretends to be helpful. That's why her spirit is her strongest weapon. She's seen kindness used for control. She's had conversations that left her drained. That's why she no longer judges with her eyes alone. She listens with her soul. And the more she listens, the clearer things become. Confusion no longer controls her. The people who once had access to her energy now feel distant. She knows what it cost her to ignore her instincts in the past. She's done it before. Gave people more chances than they deserved. Stayed in spaces longer than she should have. But she learned. Maybe the hard way, yes. But she learned. Now, she doesn't let darkness fool her. Her strength is in what she senses. Her power is in her silence. She doesn't need to shout what she knows. Sometimes, she just walks away. Sometimes, the best decision is no fight, no drama, just peace, just clarity. She doesn't argue with her intuition. If something doesn't feel right, that's enough. She believes in it. That belief keeps her ahead, far ahead. Some might label her as too guarded or overly sensitive. But what they fail to understand is that her sensitivity is her superpower. It was molded through hurt and sharpened through experience. It's not a flaw. It's wisdom. She doesn't miss the subtle shift in energy when she walks into a room. She senses it deeply. She respects it. That's why darkness finds it hard to touch her. That's why manipulators feel unsettled in her presence. They can't mask themselves with fake grins. She sees through it all. She doesn't need explanations. Her intuition is silent, but it holds undeniable power. And that strong inner knowing, that sacred instinct, is what keeps her from stepping into traps, from believing empty promises, from allowing anything that doesn't align with her soul to stay. She can feel shadows long before they appear. And that's the reason she walks in light. Not just the kind that others notice, but the kind that gives her true vision. That kind of light can't be touched by evil. The enemy doesn't deserve her attention. That's not a sign of weakness. That's wisdom. She's been through far too much to let shallow people drag her into chaos. She's watched how darkness moves, not always by attacking directly, but by creating distractions, stealing her focus, unsettling her peace, and trying to cloud her mission. Once you realize that some individuals show up just to disturb your balance, not because they're powerful, but because they're intimidated by your calm, you stop giving them the gift of your reaction. She has mastered the art of walking away, not out of fear of confrontation, but because she refuses to waste her flame on battles that serve no purpose. She understands that some people come only to stir confusion, test her limits, or tempt her into acting outside of her nature. But she's evolved beyond that. She's rooted. She's clear. Growth teaches you that your silence can be a weapon, that keeping space can be a safeguard, and peace, it becomes your most valuable victory. She has realized that protection doesn't always come in the form of sheltering from the storm. Sometimes it looks like standing strong through it, not replying to the message, not showing up for the argument, not getting swept into the noise. That's maturity, when you're no longer rattled by every nudge or every attempt to provoke. When you spot the trap and choose a higher path instead of walking straight into it. There will be those who try to disturb her peace. They'll use lies, guilt, and manipulation just to trigger her. They'll poke at her, hoping she'll respond like she used to. But she's elevated. She's moved forward. She doesn't run on emotions anymore. She doesn't act on impulse. She walks with direction. She values her attention too much to waste it on people who haven't earned a place in her life. That's the difference between a woman who is protected and one who is reactive. A guarded woman has learned to pause before she speaks, breathe before she replies, and think before she acts. She knows that there are people who only want to deplete her. They aim to break her rhythm. They try to derail her focus because they can't handle how steady she is. When you carry light within you, darkness will always try to pull you in. But it only succeeds if you decide to walk into it. So she remains anchored. She shields her peace. She allows others to assume, speculate, and talk. Because at the end of the day, her purpose shouts louder than their assumptions. She doesn't exist to convince anyone of her worth. She exists to protect her spirit. And that's what truly disturbs wicked hearts. A woman who doesn't flinch, who doesn't react, and who lets her stillness say what words never could. When you stay quiet, you remove their power. When you don't respond, they end up talking to no one. And when you walk away from wars that were never yours, you leave with your peace untouched. Her safety is rooted in that calm, in the understanding that she doesn't have to fight every battle. She doesn't need to win every debate. She doesn't need to explain herself to people committed to misunderstanding her. She's certain of who sent her. She's confident in what lives within her. And that's why she has no need to prove it to anyone. Some might call her cold. Others may think she's too distant, that she should have spoken up, that she should have reacted. But she knows the price of walking into chaos. She knows how quickly you can lose your balance when you engage in things that weren't meant for you. So she doesn't argue. She doesn't try to justify herself. She rises, above the noise, above the lies, above the nonsense, because she understands that climbing higher requires leaving some things behind. Every time she steps away from something that was meant to disturb her, she becomes more protected. Every time she chooses silence over retaliation, she becomes stronger. Every time she resists the urge to defend herself to people who don't deserve her time, she grows. She doesn't fight every fight, because some fights are just distractions. Some are bait. And some are far beneath who she has become. Her strength lies in her discipline. Her stillness is her shield. And her triumph? It's found in the fact that she's still standing, still calm, still locked in, still powerful. While the world tries to shake her, she remains unmoved. She doesn't fall for tricks. She doesn't respond to every tug. She doesn't engage because deep down she knows she's already won. She's aware that not everyone belongs in her life, and she's okay with that. She's not chasing attention. She's not looking to impress. Her loyalty can't be bought, and her spirit isn't available to just anyone. She treasures her peace too much to allow everyone in. Once you've been betrayed, once you've been hurt by people you trusted, once you've experienced the smiles that hid harm, you learn. You learn that access to you is a privilege, not a right. She doesn't keep company just to avoid loneliness. She won't settle for connections that leave her empty. If it's not real, if it's not rooted in love and truth, she walks away. She's not afraid to be by herself. In fact, she thrives in solitude, because in her quiet moments, she finds understanding. In her stillness, she hears wisdom that the noise would drown out. That's why. Her inner circle is small, not because she doesn't like people, but because she's intentional. She gets how energy works. She knows the people you allow in can either build you up or break you down. So she guards her space like it's sacred. She knows evil doesn't always come loudly. Sometimes it hides behind soft smiles. Sometimes, those who cheer the loudest are the ones secretly hoping you fall. She's felt that betrayal. Now she observes more deeply. She no longer lets labels like friend, love, or family blind her to harmful behavior. She doesn't need a crowd. She just needs truth. People who love without jealousy. People who don't gossip, because their character is intact. People who don't smile in her face and plot behind her back. And if she doesn't find those people, she's okay being alone, because peace within herself is better than conflict with others. She chooses to walk in truth, even if it means walking alone. Her soul stays pure because she does the inner work. She doesn't just protect herself from others, she keeps herself in check too. She confronts her own flaws. She takes responsibility. She forgives not because others earned it, but because she refuses to carry bitterness. That's her protection, not allowing darkness to grow inside her. She knows whatever lives inside you becomes what you attract, so she lets go of hate. She releases jealousy. She gives up revenge, not out of weakness, but out of understanding. A heart free of clutter hears more clearly. She knows that blessings flow where the soul isn't blocked. Evil grows where bitterness is fed, and she refuses to feed it. She chooses healing, and through that healing, she becomes untouchable. Toxic people can't use guilt to trap her. They can't twist her feelings. They can't drag her into their messy world, because she's no longer ruled by past pain. She's in alignment now. Her close-knit circle is her armor. It's not about how many people are around her. It's about how genuine they are. Realness recognizes realness. Loyalty finds loyalty. And her life is built on honesty, not applause. That's why darkness can't cling to her. It can't survive in her space. A clean spirit reveals the dirt in others. It unsettles manipulators. It makes liars nervous. It drives users away, because they can no longer feed off her energy. She doesn't chase anyone. She doesn't beg for love. She doesn't force anything to happen. If it's not mutual, if it's not genuine, she lets it go. She knows that anything forced is never right. What's truly meant for her will never demand her to give up her peace. That's why she sleeps peacefully, not because her life is flawless, but because her circle is loyal and her spirit is at ease. And no matter how deeply she loves someone, if they disturb her peace, she will choose herself every single time. She's not scared of being alone. She's more afraid of losing herself in fake relationships. She fears giving her all to those who only take. She's cautious of falling back into cycles she fought hard to escape. That's why she stays guarded, not distant, just wiser. When something feels off, she listens to that feeling because life taught her that peace is a guide. Chaos is a signal. Her circle is made of people who don't need to be watched closely. Their loyalty shows without words. Her spirit is clean because she's done the inner work. Her life isn't protected because she fights the dark. It's safe because she doesn't let darkness in at all. That's why she stands tall. That's why she walks with confidence. She's not burdened with past pain. She's not carrying emotional weight. She's not entertaining sweet-talking manipulators. Her life is grounded in truth, and that kind of life can't be shaken. Not by lies, not by betrayal, not by masked evil hiding behind kindness. Her circle is small, her spirit is clear, and her peace is her shield. There's something unshakable about a woman who doesn't break when storms come. While others lose control, she stays calm, steady, and rooted. She doesn't allow the noise outside to disrupt the peace within. Her calm isn't based on perfect situations. It's built on something deeper, something earned through pain, tests, and struggles. Peace didn't arrive in her life because things were easy. It came after she was tested, stretched, broken, and still stood tall. This kind of peace isn't pretend. You can't fake it. You can't borrow it from someone else. You must earn it yourself. You must walk through fire and refuse to let the fire change who you are. You must watch things fall apart and still choose not to fall with them. You must let go of what you thought you needed, say goodbye to people you thought were forever, and rise anyway with purpose in your heart. That's where real peace begins, not in comfort but in overcoming. The storms may still come, but she's not moved by them. Her roots go deeper than her feelings. She doesn't chase closure. She doesn't demand explanations. She's learned that peace often comes when you stop overthinking and start trusting the process. She doesn't need every answer to feel safe. She just needs her mindset to stay steady. That's why, when trouble comes, she doesn't fall apart. She's been through darkness and refused to be consumed by it. She's felt fear and kept going anyway. She's cried in the night and still rose in the morning with determination in her soul. She knows how to be still in the middle of life's storms because her calm doesn't depend on the absence of problems. It's built on the power she carries inside. Some mistake her quiet for weakness, but they have no idea how much strength it takes to stay calm when everything's loud. It takes real courage to stay kind in a world that pushes anger. She doesn't argue just to be right. She doesn't crumble just because things didn't go as planned. She's learned to move with the tides without letting them drown her. That's not just emotional growth. That's spiritual armor. She doesn't need the world to be peaceful for her to feel peace. She builds it from the inside. She protects it. She nurtures it. She treats it like something holy because she knows the world will try to rattle her and life will try to shake her. But if her inner world is solid, the chaos outside can't break her. That's why you'll see her smiling in the middle of fire, walking with grace like she's walking through peace. Because peace isn't about what happens around her. It's about what lives inside her. Toxic people can't stand that. They hate that they can't shake her, that their drama doesn't move her, that their silence doesn't make her question herself, that their mind games no longer work. They throw shade, but she doesn't flinch. They try to confuse her, but she stays clear. Because she knows, if they can't steal your peace, they can't touch your strength. And she holds on to that peace like it's her lifeline, because in many ways it is. She isn't naive. She knows storms don't stop. Life has taught her that peace doesn't mean perfection. It means not being controlled by life's messes. That's why she doesn't speak fear. She doesn't expect defeat. She trains her mind. She feeds her spirit. She walks through pain with quiet courage because she knows the dark valleys are only temporary. But the strength she builds while walking through them, that stays. That lasts. That carries her. She doesn't need people to agree with her path. She doesn't explain herself to those who only want to judge. Her peace protects her from that. It gives her space to walk quietly, to choose her battles, to walk away when she needs to focus on what truly matters, and to take a deep breath even when the weight of life feels heavy. That's real protection, not from pain, but from reacting in ways that feed the pain even more. So while others rush and spin in panic, she moves slowly. She walks with intention, because when your peace is whole, your vision stays clear. You don't chase. You don't fear. You don't collapse. You flow. You believe. You rise. And even when the world falls apart, she doesn't. Because her life isn't built on the world. It's built on strength. It's built on truth. It's built on something deeper that no storm can shake. That's how you spot a woman who is truly protected. Not because trouble avoids her, but because when it comes, she remains unmoved. She doesn't let the loudness of the world disturb the calm she built within. And that is the mark of a woman who's walked through fire and came out shining. A woman who knows who she is. A woman who doesn't need life to get easier because she's already carrying her peace wherever she goes. There's something powerful about a woman who doesn't beg for answers, who doesn't chase after people, who doesn't hold on to what's obviously leaving. When her soul senses something has shifted, when the atmosphere turns heavy, when the peace starts fading, she listens. She doesn't wait for chaos. She doesn't wait for proof. She doesn't need a dramatic moment to confirm what her heart already knows. She just walks away, with grace, with strength, and without looking back. She understands something most people miss. Peace is valuable, and anything that threatens her calm, her clarity, her light, is too costly to keep. She's not scared of letting go, not afraid of losing people, not worried about disappointing those who wanted her to settle, because she knows staying in the wrong place is far more painful than walking away from it. Some people might say her silence is cold, but she knows it's just clarity. It's wisdom. It's survival. She doesn't entertain confusion. She doesn't play with chaos. She doesn't argue just to prove a point. When her spirit feels something is wrong, she listens. She honors her gut like it's sacred, because it is. She knows the soul feels things long before the mind catches on. And if she stays in places that make her feel empty, she'll have to shrink herself just to survive. And she's not here to shrink. She's here to thrive. She walks away not because she's cold, but because she's healed. Because she understands you can love with your whole heart and still let go. You can forgive completely and still close the door. She's not angry. She's just done bleeding for people who wouldn't even notice her wounds. That's not pride, that's growth. When she leaves, she doesn't cause a scene. She doesn't shout or argue. That's not who she is. Her silence speaks louder than any words. And those who truly saw her know, when she leaves, something beautiful leaves with her. Because her presence isn't ordinary. It brings light. It brings healing. It brings calm. And when she's gone, the space she filled feels empty. Because what she gave can't be faked. It can't be replaced. Toxic souls hate that. They hate that she won't play along, that she won't pretend, that she won't lower her values just to feel wanted. They hate that guilt doesn't trap her anymore. That drama doesn't attract her. That chaos can't shake her. She's too grounded now, too focused, too aligned with her purpose to be thrown off course. There's a reason she no longer explains herself. No longer justifies her silence, no longer defends her choices, because she knows, peace doesn't need an explanation. You either feel it deep inside, or you don't. And if you don't, that's not her responsibility. She didn't come here to be understood by everyone around her. She came here to protect her light, to live in her truth, and to follow the path she was meant for. And if walking away is what she must do to protect that, she'll do it gracefully, without second thoughts. She's learned the power of letting go, not because it's simple, but because it's a matter of deep feeling. She understands that some people enter your life just to teach you who to avoid. Certain situations appear only to remind you of your worth. And when their purpose is done, so is her presence. She doesn't cling to things that are meant to pass. She no longer waters what's already withered. She's done explaining herself to those who gain from keeping her uncertain. She's done showing up in places where her presence barely matters. When she walks away, it isn't because she's angry. It's because she cares deeply for her own well-being. It's about respecting the woman she is growing into. The one who refuses to shrink so others can feel bigger. The one who no longer has space for anything that doesn't help her grow, bring her healing, or uplift her soul. That woman, she is unstoppable. And that's how you know she's guarded by something greater. Because no matter how chaotic things get, no matter how tempting the noise, no matter how many try to pull her back into old patterns, she keeps moving forward. She doesn't just walk away with her feet. She walks with her heart, her spirit, and her energy fully intact. She doesn't leave pieces of herself behind in places that broke her. She walks away whole. She walks away prepared. That kind of clarity, that kind of peace, that kind of self-love, it isn't something you read about in books. It's something you earn through struggle, through betrayal, through sleepless nights, and through silent strength. That's how she became who she is now. A woman who doesn't just endure harmful energy, but rises above it entirely. Because no darkness can hold on to a soul that is this aligned, this conscious, this divinely protected. And if you recognize even a small part of this within your own journey, know this: you are not forgotten. You're not weak. And you are absolutely not being punished. You are being shielded. And sometimes, the biggest blessing isn't what shows up, but what never makes it close enough to harm you. Keep walking in faith. You are chosen.